This podcast is not for children. It's a podcast in which four friends get together and we try to amaze each other and astound each other with facts about the universe or facts about how we found out those facts about the universe enough that somebody else on the podcast will say,
Holy fucking science!
Thank you for your enthusiasm, everyone. That was great. Today we're joined by Silvia Roma. Silvia!
Hello.
Did you bring a mascot?
What?
Nothing, never. It's just it's a thing from a British television show that I like to watch. Have you ever seen 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown?
No, but I do have a cat.
Did you bring a cat?
I always wish she was with me.
She just jumps down on us.
Yeah.
Something that would increase your happiness levels.
Yeah. For sure. Pinky is the best.
That's yeah. I've got a good one for how to rank ourselves today. We've also been joined by Nicole Sweeney.
Hello,
host of Crash Course Sociology and also producer on Crash Course.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
Are you feeling happy?
Yeah, I am now because I have this great Big Sky Brewing Company beer.
Thanks for supporting our sponsor. Hashtag spawn.
Hashtag spawn. Yeah.
I'm drinking a Shake-A-Day India Pale Ale, in which somebody's Yahtzeed sixes on the front there.
The best Yahtzee.
It's Sylvia's favorite can.
It's my favorite
We're
can
all
because
drinking Shake-A-Day.
if you line the three of them up together, then you can do the full Shake-A-Day.
It fills the picture.
It's
of
incredible.
Filling.
Nice. Okay.
A great visual for those
great
at home
for this.
For everybody
listening to this
Imagine.
audio
Your mind's
program.
And before we started, I was talking about what I like about pale ales, or IPAs specifically. One, they're high in alcohol, so it's like 2 beers in one.
Check.
2, I don't necessarily like the taste, but at least I know what I'm getting. No matter what IPA, it tastes the same as all the other IPAs I've ever had.
I think they're nuanced. I think the
I'm sure
Shake-A-Day tastes fruity.
Okay. Caitlin, we're also joined by Caitlin Hofmeister, who thinks they're nuanced.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's your only intro now.
I love IPAs.
Yeah. She thinks that Shake-A-Day is a fruity, nuanced India Pale Ale.
Yeah.
It's a good beer.
I didn't know what Shake-A-Day was until I moved here.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah,
Never
same,
heard of it.
same.
Did they have
Also.
Shake-A-Day other places?
No.
Tell us in the comments because we don't know.
No, I don't believe you.
No, I don't
Anybody
believe-
who
Well, I
suggests
guess-
that they do is lying.
Yeah, I mean,
stole
I
it
guess a
from
lot of
Montana.
places,
Yeah.
like gambling isn't legal, so it wouldn't be legal.
Right.
So
right.
like it's
Yep.
just weird for bars to have like, and we've got this extra gambling you can do
well,
at the
but
counter.
it's also like liquor licenses and gambling licenses are one and the same in Montana, which is weird. That's a weird Montana thing
Right.
that like probably
So if you
would
are
be
a bar-
prohibitive to having Shake-A-Day at
Yeah.
bars
Right.
and
I
other
always
places.
wondered why all the liquor stores were attached to casinos. I
Yeah.
didn't get that. That makes so much sense now.
Yeah, that's
not
why
all
there's so
Shake-A-Days
many casinos.
Are
Yeah.
created equally. They all cost different amounts of money for the
Oh, yeah.
same experience.
well, it's not about the experience; it's about how much you might win.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
guess.
it is
sure
the
if you-
same experience, but there's a higher jackpot.
Okay. I just prefer one that only costs me 50 cents.
The
Yeah.
experience is that's part of
the
it.
basement of the double
That
front,
is
is that
how
50
much
cents?
money you're spending is part of
Yes.
the
Yeah.
experience.
I think flips also.
And flips is 50 cents.
Okay.
And
Right? How much
I
money
think-
you're
yeah.
the
spending?
rose is $2.
Woo! Well, it's got
man,
they got
I
high
think-
rent there. It's right on the main street. The Rose, it's a high class place.
Yeah.
Gotta keep those red lights on.
Oh yeah, it's so dark.
Just red lighting.
I don't spend any time in the Golden Rose. I've been there 2 times, and only as I was exiting the Badlander. This podcast is for people who know about bars in Missoula, Montana.
Missoula. That's it. You're welcome.
It's changed to a bar review podcast, but only for one small town in the western United States.
Sparsely populous.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about happiness here on Holy Fucking Science. We're talking about the science of happiness, about science-y related things related in some way to happiness. And in honor of Sylvia's cat, we're going to order it. The person who goes first is going to be the person who touched a cat most recently.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
And then we're going to move down from there. I touched a cat this morning at breakfast. That would have been about 7:30.
I touched a cat around 8:45 this morning, and it wasn't even my cat. I'm cat sitting for a friend. And then previously my cat
had touched
at
your cat
8:30 this morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8:45 a.m.
You know when you touched your last cat?
I don't remember the last time I touched it.
That's so
Maybe
sad.
April.
Maybe April when I was feeding Sylvia's cat is probably the last time.
When was the last time you touched Sylvia's cat? Because I think that's
Yeah.
like when you were in New York like a couple weeks ago, and I went over and snuggled with Inky. So
Okay.
a few weeks ago, I touched a cat.
So
I was the least recent. You were
Yeah.
the most recent.
I was
Or Sylvia.
Oh, Sylvia was the
35.
most recent.
Yeah.
So Sylvia, Hank,
Caitlin, Nicole. Yeah.
Nicole
Poor
Swim and
Caitlin and
Anchor.
Nicole. I'm so sad that you guys haven't touched a cat in weeks.
I got a cat you can touch anytime. She loves everybody and she really likes cuddles.
She does love cuddles. She's like the most affectionate cat.
Until she's not, and then she's just like biting your arms off.
Yeah, Cameo gets cuddly this time of year
Because it's cold.
when it gets cold out. She's like, I would like to be on the bed
Yeah.
with you and all snuggled up. And I'm like, yes, okay.
I get that. My heat was on too high this morning, and I was like, "Get away from me!" To everyone.
To everyone.
Yeah.
Do you let Cameo sleep with you guys?
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't usually. She usually fucks off at about like 10 o'clock at night. She's like, she comes and she hangs out until it's like, you guys are going to sleep, huh? I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to do things. You don't need to know about it.
Do you think she goes and checks on Orange? She's like, "What are you up to?"
What are you doing? Can I get in there? You're pretty warm. No, I have no idea where she goes at night.
Whoa.
They have like a whole secret life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have this huge basement and she's all over down there. And because she can get, like, there's a cat door into the basement because her litter, litter?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the word.
It's down there.
I'm an expert on
IPA
all
is
things
strong.
cats.
I don't know why. I've had 1/10 of an IPA. I can't remember the name of things.
7.5, that'll do it.
Yeah. Anyway, you're going first, Sylvia. Tell us about the science of happiness. I didn't check mine, so I hope I'm not overlapping with you.
Are you talking about stomachs?
No.
Great. We're good. So, man, I gave away the thing. So I was good.
That was just a random question about
I
stomachs.
just, wanted to know who was talking about stomachs.
I was gonna ask.
I'm not, but
I was gonna ask you guys where you thought your second brain was, but I gave away.
I would have guessed stomach.
I would have guessed dick.
See, I knew it. I was like,
Oh, got one of
someone's
those.
got to say it. But it's the gut
It's
or
the
the
gut.
microbiome.
Oh.
So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So if you didn't know, there are 100 million neurons located. This is hard to see. Located in your gut, which also produce like a ton of neurochemicals. So those regulate learning and your mood and your memory. And the gut's actually responsible for 95% of your serotonin production. Yeah. And so this coming up with this topic comes up with a little bit of a backstory. So yesterday
Short backstory.
little bit
Starting
of a
yesterday.
it's very short. I was thinking about what kind of topic I was supposed to come up with.
To
or
be
whatever.
fair, I did not give Sylvia a lot of heads up.
No, I
On
thought-
Monday, I was like, "Hey, you want to do this?"
And so yesterday morning I was at therapy because it's important to take care of your brain and your happiness and all that stuff. And I was chatting with my therapist and she's like, "Have you ever tried eating like more yogurt and more probiotics?" And she's like, because serotonin production, it happens in your gut. And so if you're keeping your gut
amazing.
happy and healthy, like that can potentially help with your mental health. And so there have been some studies on this about whether or not probiotics can actually make you happier. The first study occurred in 1910.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah,
What?
by a...
We know what? What?
Well, it was for the study of probiotics and melancholia is what it was called.
Probiotics existed in 1910?
we didn't
Yeah.
even know. We were still like killing diabetics. We were still starving diabetics in 1910. But we were checking on probiotics.
So to be fair, they thought that potentially I was only given access to the first page of this study.
Yeah.
Totally.
But upon reading
In the public domain, it was 1910.
What are you holding on to?
It was owned by Disney? What the fuck?
We own happiness. You can't have yogurt.
Ken
We've trademarked it. So.
happiness TM. They were talking about constipation and like constipation potentially being the cause of depression. And so like that probiotics would potentially like help you poop.
Yeah.
Which would
maybe
then
in
maybe make
1910
you
they didn't
happier.
have like milk that like they probably only had yogurt.
Well, everything was probiotic in 1910.
Yeah,
They
totally.
didn't have antibiotic.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit.
Don't worry, Sylvia.
Yeah, holy
I
fucking
also just
sciencing in the
realized-
middle of her own fact.
Also just realized that the relationship between the words antibiotic and probiotic, it also just happened to me.
Nicole's gonna have to read the rest of my screen because I'm broken now. That's amazing. Fast forward to 2011, and there have been studies before that I have, but
Just the one in 1910 and then the one in 2011.
and then no one thought about it again for another 100 years. And then in 2011, they thought about studying mice. Of course,
Like you do.
So they gave mice. There was a control group of mice and a regular group of, and then the test group of mice. And the test group was given broth that had Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which we're going to call the probiotic microbe.
Yeah.
And then there was a control group that had plain and regular broth. And so the probiotic mice were more likely to enter exposed areas of amaze, or they were also less likely to give up.
Interesting.
They were less likely to give up and start floating on a swim test. So, and
Oh, God, I hate it when they make them.
The
I
swim
know.
tests are such a fucking despicable tool.
Oh, God, when they just are like,
They
I
just
give up.
and they float.
And yeah, it's just like, it's basically testing a mouse for suicide.
It's awful.
Like, at what point? Oh, God.
Well, they had some
But
probiotics and they
probiotics.
swam. They can
swam
swim
longer.
Happy.
The more probiotics they had, the
the longer
longer
they held
before
out.
they
More
gave
hope.
up and just died. I think they mostly rescued
They
them
just
after
float.
they
They
gave up.
scoop them out.
Yeah, they
They
scoop 'em.
must.
Yeah.
Then they kill them later. But
To be clear,
euthanize them.
every mouse will die.
Sure.
I mean, everybody dies.
Yes, great insight.
everyone will die. Thanks for listening to our happiness podcast.
Everybody dies. It's the truth. It happens.
It's true.
It's true.
The probiotic mice produce less corticosterone.
What's that?
So that causes like anxiety. So they also did tests
Like a
on-
stress hormone.
Like a
Whoa,
stress
okay.
hormone, yeah. And they showed an increase in the number of GABA receptors, which is a neurotransmitter. GABA is a neurotransmitter that helps keep anxiety in check. So all of these things were caused by the this like probiotic. And so they've also done studies that they believe that it could have implications to manage like chronic GI disorders as well for people that are often accompanied by anxiety disorders and depression. But reversely, the brain also has like a severe effect on the microbiome, on the gut microbiome. So psychological stress can suppress like beneficial bacteria to you as well. So if you are incredibly stressed out, it can have the reverse effect to your gut and to your body. So that feeling, like that gut feeling, or like
Yeah.
sometimes when you feel like something like in the pit of your stomach, that kind of stuff, like that can be your body like affecting your microbiome. And reverse in time to 2008.
What a
Oh
year.
man, we're just all over the place.
And also back to all of our college days. This is going to be, I love talking about poop. No, I mean, not
was not-
2008, our college days, but like back,
Oh.
I'm going to talk about
like, I
a
wasn't-
study of college students. My apologies.
Oh, yeah, because that's always mice and college students. That's what my stuff is about, too. That's who we study.
And poop.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Mice, college students, and both of their
And
poops.
fecal.
Yeah. And all poop in
Those are the
general.
categories.
Yeah.
But so they did a study on stool samples in Australia of college students during exam week. And they found that their stool samples had fewer lactobacilli, so fewer of those probiotic bacteria than they had during like just regular time of the year. So that stress from exam week and from finals also causes some like negative impact
So
on your
should
gut
they have been
microbiome.
eating more yogurt, or was it not? Would it have not mattered? Because
So I imagine
the
it's a
bad
balance,
bacterias.
right? And so there's not like a lot of discussion on how these two like communicate. So there are some implications of figuring out if you can discover how the communication between the gut and the brain happens. Can we develop medications that like that mimic that kind of interaction if it's not happening on its own? And some studies have indicated that potentially it's via the vagus nerve. And so there's like some discussion about stimulating the vagus nerve as a way to help with people who live with depression and stuff like that. But
about this.
right now there isn't a huge like knowing exactly what it is that causes the conversation.
Gotcha.
So I imagine that it would be both, right? So like you could potentially attempt to combat that by eating, probiotics or eating foods that are rich in them, or taking a probiotic supplement, which is something that I'm going to start doing because I cannot stomach yogurt.
How do you feel about kombucha?
I can't. It's too fermented.
it's
I
not
like it. Like
food.
makes me.
Kombucha gives me a real weird feels.
Yeah,
It's like drinking snot a little bit.
It's not good.
But you like that like boba juice or whatever that
It's a
is.
completely different thing.
what
Yeah.
juice?
Boba tea.
Boba tea.
That's
disgusting.
That's just
Fucking
tapioca
love
pearls
boba,
and some
yeah.
tea. It's delicious.
no, I hate it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's like the third best food.
No way.
What would be one and two?
It's like eating pudding with fish eyeballs in it.
Yeah, chewy, delicious fish eyeballs.
But wait, what are 1 and 2 if you put boba tea at number?
Avocado and salmon.
I would not.
So that's
say,
my 1 and 2.
my 1 and 2 is probably corn dogs and salmon. Not at the same time. Not like
Corn
a
dogs,
salmon corn dog.
salmon, and
corn
boba
dog.
tea is your ideal food day. That's your dream.
I mean, not in one meal.
No, but over the course of
Sure, yeah.
that's like the dream
Boba tea for
food day.
breakfast, corn dog for lunch, a nice salmon meal for
Boba tea
dinner.
not for breakfast.
Boba tea for
Boba
breakfast, boba tea for lunch.
I think when you put boba tea on a bagel,
It could accompany your breakfast meal food.
my corn dog is definitely breakfast. It's
Okay.
just
With maple
basically
syrup?
a pancake and a sausage.
You put maple syrup on it?
You could dip it in, and I have done it. I have
Depends
done
on the
that.
time of day what you dip it in.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Mustard,
corn
yeah,
dog,
maple syrup, who knows?
Yeah.
just eggs.
What time is it? What's
Slap it around in some eggs.
Slapping it around made me feel real weird.
Yeah. I don't want to.
Apologies.
open that up.
Apologies to all of you and my family. Anyway, I don't know. Boba tea it is one of my faves. The first time I ever had boba tea, I was with Paul DeGeorge in Chicago, and he was like, "Let me blow your mind." And it was avocado flavored boba tea is the flavor I got. I don't know how I ended up settling on that. Probably because I was hanging out with Paul, and I was like, "I gotta be weird to impress him."
I would have
He's
had
so
like
weird.
cognitive
Right.
dissonance or something. Like I'm like, I
Thing
like
I love
avocado. I
and
do not
thing I
like these
hate.
Why did
chunks in
they put
avocado.
fish eyeballs in my avocado drink?
I love a tapioca pearl, man.
Yeah, me
They're
too.
so good.
Yeah, agree. What were we talking about?
The gut,
Happiness
probiotic
in the gut.
body.
Oh, and
That's all I
kombucha.
got.
It was kombucha.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was standing in the Orange Street Food Farm this morning, and there was 2 different kombucha growler filling stations from different
Competing?
for different brands. There was the one that's called
Yeah.
which I like. I like that brand is real good. I don't like kombucha, but I like that their brand name is
It just makes you think about it, you know?
Maybe I should have kombucha.
Yeah. It's not great, but just think about it.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
And they have sample cups because they know that you're like, this is very new. I'm gonna give that like 10 years. If it's still around, I'll try it. That's how I kind of feel
It'll
about
still be
kombucha.
around and it's coming from
Kombucha in
the
10 years and it'll
same
still be
SCOBY.
good.
Yeah.
And I was just I felt for a moment, this is just us trying to have something healthy to drink besides water.
Or beer.
Like, beer's not healthy, Caitlin Hofmeister.
no, besides beer.
Oh, just anything to drink besides beer.
Yeah,
As an
because it's like,
alternative, yeah.
I get what you're saying. I thought you were saying water wasn't healthy.
No.
But I mean, it's like another option. Like if you're at the dram shop and you
Right.
want to drink something, you can have a kombucha while your friends drink beer.
Ah, I see.
That is
Yeah.
the most Missoula fucking thing I have ever heard. You're at the dram shop.
Yes.
I want to get drunk while
You
your
don't
friends
drink
are
beer,
drinking
so
beer,
we're gonna
you
give
get
you
a
a kombucha.
How many Missoula?
I'm moving. Somebody give me a house in Havre. Jesus. I'm done.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Havre has signs that are like, "It's the people." And
Havre, Montana is a very small town.
you know what tastes awful in Havre? The water.
Montana, the Montana
bad.
specific
You'll be
podcast
begging
continues.
for kombucha.
I've never even heard of Haver before.
Yeah,
in my whole
it's
life.
a good like.
You would
just
love it.
Pull it out of your hat, a small Montana.
Everyone
town
says,
name.
"Are you having a good time?"
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Sylvia's also moving.
I'm moving. It's time.
The whole
I have her to move
in
now.
Haver. Me and Sylvia are starting, and everybody's going to follow. Cost of living is very inexpensive.
You have her to
and we can
move
go to
too.
Canada just
I
by
feel like
accident.
the one person who listens to this podcast who's from Haver is having a very good but also kind of conflicted set of feelings.
Yeah, I'm happy because you're talking about it, but also it doesn't sound very nice.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends from Haver, and they have mad hometown pride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which is
yeah,
what I like to talk
I feel
about.
like kombucha is a thing where people just can't fucking drink fucking water. It's free. It's good for you. If you don't have it, you'll die immediately. Like, let's just drink water. Why does every liquid, like, why can't we just fucking drink water?
This podcast brought to you by Big Sky Brewery.
God, we get so
But I do
obsessed with
love
things
water.
Yeah. I just like, I think that the world would be better off if there was one drink and it was water.
And beer.
What
Everybody's gonna
about
fight
like
me on
all the
that.
babies would die?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, there's a separate drink for babies.
Okay.
Yeah, but not all babies can have that separate drink for babies.
But there's a multiple separate drinks for babies. Well, I just like I think
Then
that
you're talking more than one
Coke,
drink.
Baby Pepsi.
God. I just think that we get real caught up on drinks. And I think that there is a
The
lot.
entire, I could spend the entire next hour telling you why this is a stupid idea as somebody who pretty much only drinks water. This is a bad idea.
All right.
But we're supposed to be talking about happiness.
We'll have that conversation later.
Later.
Side
But at the
table.
moment, I have a new stupid hill to die on.
Yeah.
Okay.
One that's not made out of water.
Yeah, because then it wouldn't be a hill.
Made out of water.
It would just be a little pond.
So, situation. Old people that are married for a long time look more the same. Is a thing that people have
Yeah.
noticed. Like people who've been married for a long time, they're like, you guys, why do you look the same? It's adorable. This is a thing that people have noticed throughout the centuries. And so one day in 1987, or before that, I suppose, because that's when the study was published, a scientist was like, but is it a real thing? Because it's probably not a real thing. So he tested it out, got together a bunch of photographs of people when they'd first met 25 years before and put those photos into like sort of a random assortment and said, match these people with the person that looks most like them. So pick one and then pick the woman who looks most like that guy. And when they did that, there was no correlation. People could not figure out who was married to whom. And this was like right after they got married.
Okay.
Then they did that same thing with the old people who'd been married for 25 years. And when they said who looks most like that person, like the person they picked that looked most like that guy was significantly more likely to be that guy's wife. So it's the same people that they're doing. So as time goes on, in this study of admittedly all white American Midwesterners, old people who were married looked like each other, and they didn't when they first got married.
Okay.
So that's a thing. Doesn't have anything to do with happiness
Weird.
yet,
Okay.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I was like,
It's
what?
fucking weird.
but it may. So any guesses as to why this might happen? Sylvia.
Me.
She raised her hand.
That was
Now
in the
she's-
audio version. Sylvia raised her hand.
I've been really excited. Is it because they're like living in the same environment and eating like the same foods and drinking the same water, and so they're sharing
Right.
so much of the same ecosystem that their bodies react probably in similar ways? And considering that it's all people of the same ethnicity, then they're likely to react
Right.
potentially.
So if you both live in
similar
Florida,
ways.
you're both tan and you're both sort of like leathery skinned, old, loving couple at this point. And if you're both like in the same socioeconomic status, like you could have similarities there. So yeah, that's definitely one of the things. But what if I told you that in addition to couples looking more alike as they got older, they also looked more alike if they were happier couples.
That's what I was wondering, because I was like, well, my parents were together for probably 25 years and they were not happy and they look nothing alike. but my dad is remarried and like he and his wife are like starting to look alike, and it's weird. They like style themselves similarly to each other.
No. This is the Twilight Zone now.
So
We're in it.
I don't know, Nicole,
Nuts.
sociologist, what do you think?
I am so bewildered by this.
Yeah, it's super weird. It's super weird.
Like, does the alikeness make them happier, or are they happier because they're and then becoming more
that's
alike?
definitely a thing to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're a happier couple if you look more alike.
Have you never seen like the photos of that people like? I've seen like BuzzFeed listicle type things or where couples are put together and they all look like each other. There's also admittedly ones where like people look like their dogs or dogs look like their humans.
I would love to look more like my dog.
But like recently, like I was chatting with someone about this same like concept that like couples tend to like look alike.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think there's also
This
like an
happens
attraction thing?
as time goes on, though.
Right.
So
Right.
this
That they
isn't
didn't
this is
initially.
correcting
Yeah.
for people who didn't look alike when they
Wow.
when they first started dating. So here's what the scientist thinks, and I love it. And this is of course not confirmed because you can't really confirm this hypothesis, but he thinks that it may be that if you are an empathetic person, you copy the facial expressions of the people that you spend time with.
Totally.
And if you spend a lot of time with someone,
Who you have a very high level of empathy for.
then you start to make the same facial expressions. And not only do you sort of like smile the same and react the same, but you also build the same muscles in your faces. And so
I'm
you're
gonna cry.
This is amazing.
So there's some potential thought that if you are happier, you spend more time with your partner and you mimic them more and you start to look more the same. But it could also be that if you are more empathetic and thus you mimic your partner more,
You're
you are
happier.
happy because you are more empathetic and you also look more like your partner because you are more empathetic. And people
Wow.
like empathetic mimicking is like a studied thing. And if you do it more, you are proven to like have other things that put you higher on the empathy scale. So like you'll do a completely unrelated thing that seems unrelated, but is also on the empathy scale if you are also an empathetic mimicker. So they think maybe like they are happier because they mimic each other and they look the same because they mimic each other.
Whoa.
Do you think?
wild.
I feel like this also happens in like platonic, like friend relationships,
Yeah.
where people mimic each other's laughs or like expressions or like phrases,
accents.
or accents,
Yeah.
things that they say. When I was like a really, really young kid, so I speak Spanish and English fluently, and I have a pretty
Silvia,
like
Roma.
yeah, and I have a pretty like just bland, not pretty straightforward Spanish accent. Like it's not really super regional. And when I was really young, my dad would take me to all the different places that like my family lived in Spain, and they have different regional accents. And so I'd go to the part that's probably like considered to have one of the heavier accents in, you know, middle of nowhere town in Spain. And I went back to Madrid to talk to my aunt, and she's like, "Are you from like Ciudad Real now? Like, is that like where you're
Is that
from?"
what's happened?
Because like I picked up on like the way that they spoke, and they're like because they're such sweet and kind and wonderful people.
Right.
I imagine now, like listening to this, that I just like picked up their phrases and the way that they said things and their accent, and like brought it back with me. Eventually, obviously, it went back to being kind of what I usually speak as.
When you're not exposed to them.
Wow.
consistently. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, every time I've like Catherine and I have a lot of the same mannerisms. And
Totally.
like, I notice it much more when I copy her, but other people have told me that she also does things that I do. And yeah, it's definitely like, and I kind of felt bad about it at first. I was like, why can't I just be my own self? Why can't I have my own mannerisms? But but then I just
that.
leaned
Yeah.
into it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's been 20 years.
You're like, she's really cool.
She is very cool.
I'm a
Like,
little
that's
worried
fair.
because like people will walk in on me when I'm like editing a video of you or Aranda
yeah.
or something, and I'm totally like mimicking what you're doing.
I do that to myself.
Yeah,
too.
when you're editing. So like, who knows what we're all gonna look like? Like,
Yeah.
Nicole, like I'm gonna look like all the SciShow hosts, and you're gonna look like all the Crash Course hosts.
Well, myself.
Yeah. Perfect.
You're gonna look more like yourself while you're filming, though, which is kind of a different
It
Nicole.
is different. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
significantly different. Yes.
I don't have this problem because I don't edit any videos.
So this is a situation, you can look it up on New York Times. Just search for long married couples do look-alike study finds.
That is really cool.
Great.
Yeah, and I could find nothing that was published after 1987 on this, which is probably why we are never going to talk about it on SciShow. So
Sure.
man.
But cool.
bit of a lag there.
Yeah.
All right.
A thing that my dad says is that like holding a grudge is like taking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an old like saying.
Yeah.
So there was
Never
an
heard it.
Oh, I hadn't heard it until pretty recently when my dad
It
said
it only works if you make out with them right afterward.
Yeah. Just breathe it into their face.
like the Duke Atreides tried to do in Dune. No? Just me?
Just
Him,
you.
just
I'm
you.
so
All right.
sorry.
Well, just me and the people out there listening.
Yep.
Sorry
You're
for
welcome.
the spoiler.
Yeah.
Way to go.
I think the statute of limitations on Dune is
very,
I don't feel
very
that.
up. Very up.
But basically, holding a grudge and not forgiving someone is like harder on you than it is on the person.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was an experiment on undergrad students in the Netherlands that took 46 undergrads and split them into two groups. And they each had to write about a time where they were wronged and very offended by something. And half the group was told to write about a time when they were wronged and then forgave the person who wronged them and moved on. And then half the group wrote about a time where they were still offended and hadn't moved on and hadn't forgiven them. And then they had to go walk up a hill to a certain point.
Oh, good.
And when they got to this point in the hill,
This is better than trying to drown a mouse.
Yeah.
yes, way better. Up.
Whatever.
And so when they got to a point in the hill, they had to estimate like what they thought the incline was. And the students who had just recently thought about a time when they hadn't forgiven someone, thought it was a lot steeper. Like they had a harder time climbing this hill. And then the people who had forgiven someone and were thinking about that just before they climbed the hill, that it was a lot less steep.
Holy fucking science. That's great.
Yeah, but like, were they all
man.
the same level of like fitness?
So no, on average, this is on average. So then
just
they did
curious.
another study with a control group, and they took, this was the same Netherlands school and then a school in Singapore, and they divided all these students into three groups. And one was the forgiveness group where they had to write about forgiving someone. One was the unforgiveness group, and one was they just had to write about a neutral interpersonal interaction that they'd
I
had
went to the
recently.
shoe store and a man sold me shoes.
Totally, yeah. And so then they had to do like an exercise test, and they measured how high they could jump. And on average, the forgiveness and this is really cool.
I do not believe you are ready. It's incredible.
The group that forgave could jump higher on average than the group that had not forgiven, and the neutral group could jump about as high as the forgiven group.
Okay.
So they don't think that forgiveness makes you jump higher and walk up steep hills, but
Grudge
The
group.
grudges,
grudge group,
is
it
pulling
holds
down.
you down.
Yeah.
Poison.
Holy
Yeah.
shit. Holy
Poison.
fucking
and
science.
so yeah,
Does that mean for that for my health I have to give up all my petty grudges,
yeah.
Caitlin? No.
Nicole lives on a lot of hills.
Yeah.
I do. I have so
does.
many. I have so many.
Stefan
Gotta
helped.
give up some grudge.
Stefan, who's recording right now, I told him about this, and we decided to call it the Grudge Pudge.
This is that time that guy said a mean thing to me. And this on my love handle here. That's just general racists.
Oh yeah. So the researchers think that it has to do with a person's sense of power. So if you can't forgive someone, you like there's a powerlessness in that. Where if you're able to take control of the situation, there's a sense of power in that. But also that holding a grudge causes rumination, which can use a lot of glucose. And so your brain is
Thinking
taking
about
up
it.
the glucose that your body needs to do like fast reaction things like jumping.
I don't have mental energy to hate you anymore.
Yeah, I gotta run.
That's what I'm going to tweet that to so many people today.
Today
Let
I
it go.
learned.
I'm not going to think about you.
Yeah.
Just don't think about it.
Just kidding. I had a granola bar and I hate you again.
Oh yes.
I'm nourished.
You guys, you want to hear about the weirdest grudge
Yeah.
I've ever heard of?
Go on.
Always.
haven't fact checked this. It seems very unlikely, but it was on. But it seemed.
But it's a
legit
grudge you
when
hold?
No.
Oh.
It is a grudge I heard about.
Oh,
Okay.
A man
Okay.
dating a woman.
Speculative
They
grudge.
broke up, and the woman was very sad, and she killed herself. This was a long time ago. Like decades
Like
ago.
1987.
No, like the 40s or something.
Okay.
And then the brother of the woman came to kill the guy because he was so mad about it, shot him, and then shot himself. But he missed. He like hit his face, but it grazed him and got lodged in a tree. This is fucking true. So it's real weird.
began this story by saying that you did not fact check it.
I'm not 100%. I'm not 100%, but
Pretty true
I
story.
didn't fact check this, but it's true.
well,
2017.
What I'm saying is, I didn't just make it up.
Right. You're not writing the
okay.
story on the fly.
And then
Sure.
years later, that tree got big, and the guy wanted to get rid of the tree. So the guy who didn't die,
Wait, was the guy who didn't die
Yeah.
the brother or the guy who broke up with the
the
woman?
guy who broke up with the woman.
Okay.
Oh, man.
So he didn't die, and then the brother killed himself and died.
Okay. And the tree also had not yet died.
The tree did not die.
But how is the tree involved?
Because the bullet got
So
stuck in the tree.
bullet
The
got
bullet's
stuck
in
in
the
the
tree.
tree.
And the guy decides, I'm going to get rid of this tree. He couldn't have been a very smart man because he decided to do it with dynamite. And he blew the tree up.
Oh my
And he
God.
died. And among the debris that was found inside of him was the bullet that was stuck in the tree, and it went into his head, and it's probably what killed him.
Wow.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Well, if true. Heavy emphasis.
Well, if not true, because whatever Tumblr post, whoever Tumblr posted that,
Sure.
good on you. That's fascinating.
There's a cannonball that's stuck in a tree in Quebec City, Canada.
Trees are so
that I've
awesome.
seen.
We should do an HFS on trees and also
or
on
bullets.
yogurt and bullets.
I would like an HF on all three of those things together.
Combined.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
boba tea.
Everybody
Boba tea.
pick some research.
Yeah.
It must combine all of these
There must be a
elements.
mouse swimming. There must be bullets.
And
There must be trees and boba
yogurt.
tea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on all the
yogurt or
lists.
boba tea.
It's
You
on
can-
like the
that's your
10
choice.
unluckiest people ever. 25 mind-blowing coincidences you won't believe
No,
are
he was
real.
lucky. 3 strikes and you're out. He got the
That's right.
first 2 strikes and he survived. But
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Eventually. I mean, don't
Don't blow up a tree.
There are all kinds of tools for handling this.
Getting rid
Yeah.
of trees.
Just like a saw.
yeah.
Well, also
tree
that's
be?
what
The
that's
tree
what I
do
thought was going to be
anything.
the
Yeah.
twist is that it was a
It fell on
chainsaw
top
and
of
the
him?
chainsaw hit the bullet.
Yeah.
And then the chain broke, which can happen, and then the chain went around and killed him.
Right.
Which is a
sounds
thing.
very
It's a thing.
painful.
It's environmental terrorists sometimes spike trees, put like hidden spikes into
God.
trees so that when people are cutting them down, that
Oh,
chainsaws break.
that's horrible.
It is bad. It's a bad idea. Don't do that.
Yeah.
The Haunted Bullet, 1883. So I was wrong when I said the 40s. The bullet had only grazed his face and lodged in a large tree behind him. He thought himself incredibly lucky. It says this list. It says this fucking internet list. But the story didn't end there. Years later, Zieglin decided to cut down the tree, which still had the bullet. Task seemed so tough that he decided to blow it up with a few sticks of dynamite, which he had laying around inside his ass. The explosion sent the
says
bullet
inside
straight out-
his ass?
Wait,
No,
no.
I just improvised. I improvised a second.
You're like, he's very lucky he didn't die with that dynamite in his ass.
Yeah.
That's not the safe place.
Just some casual butt dynamite.
The explosion sent the bullet straight into Zieglin's head, killing him instantly. Now that's
Zieglin.
freaky. Now that's freaky.
Was that in there?
Yes.
See, so in his ass is plausible.
Definitely be there.
It fits with the style of writing.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm so glad I don't write for list websites. I should let all of our writers know
Yeah.
to be grateful.
You should be very grateful for your job. I'm your boss sending you this email to tell you.
You're welcome.
Reason number 1. Reason number 2.
Hank's email
11
becomes
reasons you should be grateful for your job.
Number 1, it's not a list website.
but this email is a list.
to demonstrate. Yeah.
Nicole, what do you know about happiness?
I have a sociology paper. It's kind of fun because it takes a sort of like a very obvious fact, but adds like a somewhat surprising twist.
A lot of the happiness research that I was looking into was like, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
So, cool.
So on what days of the week would you assume that people are happiest?
Tuesday.
Incorrect.
I am happiest on. I think I'm happiest on Saturday.
Because you can sleep in and go to bed late.
Yeah.
So the weekends. The weekends.
No.
Sunday is
Saturday.
stressful.
Specifically Saturday.
The weekends.
Sunday's stressful.
But in any case,
I know. I thought it was a trick question, so I went with Tuesday.
But
No,
sometimes,
sorry.
you know,
We're
some
starting
people
with the
love
obvious.
Sunday.
We're starting
They
with
get
the
to
obvious
go to
information.
do community things and get in touch with their
That's
Lord
true.
and
To go to
such.
church.
Sure.
Sunday morning.
I used to love Thursdays because drinks were only $1. And now I live in Missoula where drinks are very cheap.
Very cheap
Drinks
on
are
all the
$1
days
all
of
the
the
days.
week.
Anyhow, but
So
Thursdays were good.
why would you assume that people are generally happier on the weekends?
Because
you
they're
can sleep
not
in.
And I
working.
can do whatever I
They're with their
want.
family.
You-
Yeah.
Right. So the
Freedom of
assumption
choice.
that you have an abundance of free time, basically, is sort of like the conventional wisdom. And this is like predicated on like a thinking of time that views time kind of like money, where like the issue is budgeting. An hour is an hour is an hour, and weekends are awesome because all the hours can be spent in any
Yours.
way
Yeah.
that you want. Yeah. So this paper is called Time as a Network Good, and it is basically arguing that the essential characteristic of the weekend is not just having a day off, but rather the fact that other people also have a day off, and that like the
This is
value
an
of
interesting-
time.
Yeah, this is interesting to me because the thing that we did where we were like, okay, everybody gets Saturday and Sunday off is very
Yes.
different from saying everybody gets 2 days a week off.
Yes, right. So they actually talk about that. They sort of model that idea in the paper as well. That like, so if you say, they talk a lot about the standard work week as like a coordinating mechanism for society. And so actually to that point, in a society without like a standard work week and you just have 2 free days out of 7 and kind of distributed sort of randomly, any 2 friends only have an 8% chance of sharing a day off. And like that percentage is going to get lower and lower depending on like, you know, the number, the larger the group of friends is that you're trying to coordinate for like a float day or whatever.
Right. And also like this breaks when you work in retail. Because one of the great recreational activities of modern America
Yes.
is shoe shopping.
Sure. Yes.
Shoe shopping specifically?
I don't know why I picked shoes. I made a shoe reference earlier this episode.
One of
Yeah,
the things,
tie
so
it in. Good
this paper specifically though is looking at unemployed people.
Okay.
Like that. So like you would assume that like the unemployed, like all of the days, if an hour is an hour is an hour, then all the days of the week should be roughly the same. Unemployed people are on average less happy than employed people because these are actively, in order to be unemployed, you have to be actively looking for work,
Right,
obviously. So like they don't want to not be employed.
Yeah.
So they're overall less happy, but like they see the same basic spikes that employed people do, like as you go through the week and then.
Right. And like a lot of unemployed people are looking for work. Like they'll
Right.
keep a regular schedule. They're looking for work like during the work
Yeah.
week.
Well, it's also, so the data that they were using is the Gallup Daily Poll and then the Bureau of Labor Statistics American Time Use Survey. And so like they're looking at all the different ways that people are like using their time. And the thing that is noticeably different about the way that they are using their time is everyone sees an increase in social time on the weekends.
So did they do any kind of like studies for people who didn't work regular weeks? So like, for example,
Yes.
when I used to work
Like
at
people
the
who
most
work in retail
magical place on earth, I had Mondays and Tuesdays off. Like my weeks were, I worked Wednesday through Sunday. And so I and my friends and I would, when we had like our weekend bids, we would all try to bid for the same weekday days.
Yeah,
because
'cause
we
you're trying
knew
to
we were never going to
coordinate.
get Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
We're like, okay, there are like 10 slots for Monday, Tuesday. So let's all go for Monday, Tuesday. Because like no one who's like higher in seniority than us is going to like bid for a Monday and Tuesday off. So did they do any like
So this particular paper did not, but like they sort of reference it. Like there is a like body of research on how, sociologically speaking, that is called unsociable work.
Yep.
And it is so like unsociable work is there's lots of evidence on how that is like bad for families and like that it's unsociable because it is bad for like your social interaction.
But interesting that like you inherently like were drawn to try and coordinate. Yeah, you were trying to make that weekend time by coordinating with your coworkers. Yeah,
because if now obviously I'm like, yeah, I love Saturday and Sunday, it's great. But like if you had asked me 2 years ago, I'd be like Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I had many different weekends.
Yeah. I mean, so also unemployed people, I feel like during the week you're thinking about how you don't have a job.
Right.
And like everybody's gone and you don't have anything to do.
Yeah. That was actually
Except
part
look
of
for jobs, which of course is a lot of work. But,
Yes. Yeah. Like looking for jobs. That was sort of
working.
Right. You're working. You're
not getting paid for it.
Sure. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's work. It's hard work.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of time basically. Yes. Let's just like not doing it and spent like sort of wallowing in like the sadness of it.
Right. Like it's just re-emphasized by the fact that everybody else is busy right now.
Yeah. Yes.
And also that society expects of you that if it's a Monday.
Yes. So that is that's one of the other things that they talk about too, is that as a society coordinating the standard work week and like we are creating weekends as a time when everyone is expected to be like not working, like in general. Obviously, there are special cases, but like in general, creating the expectation that like you are supposed to relax is also like a component of like it is a kind of like a net social good that we are coordinating.
Well, and because like even if you are working in a job where like your work is unsociable, like you still think of Saturday, like you think of your weekend as your weekend, but like you still. You cannot break the cycle of thinking about Saturday and Sunday as the weekend.
Yeah. Because and
you never truly think Monday, that's the weekend day. Everyone thinks of Saturday and Sunday. It's so ingrained.
How do we get the weekend longer? What do we do?
Oh, here's my theory.
Says your boss.
You work 4 10-hour days and then you get 3 days off.
Right. So that is as a question of like policy planning. So either A, you shift to like 4, but in order for this to like achieve these sort of mass effects, you would need like coordination, right? Like complexly is too small. Complexly cannot single-handedly.
We got to talk to all the big employers.
Right. So if all of the big employers in Missoula said, okay, we now work 4 10-hour days and Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the weekend. Like that's one thing. The other thing, less to like extending the weekend, sort of the other way that you would like policy-wise respond to this information is to say, we want to give our employees like more days off rather than adding more like PTO time, which is like the logical thing to do, right? Like you think to yourself, okay.
What does PTO mean?
Paid time off.
Paid time off.
You. That's the thing I should know.
You give it. We have it.
What does PTO mean?
But so like there's like a logical assumption that like letting people sort of independently control how that time is spent is like, net win. But like there actually might be more benefit in saying, here is a common holiday that a lot of other businesses, like Veterans Day or whatever. This is an example I totally stole. I found out about this paper from a Weeds episode. This was their like policy example. So I'm totally stealing their answer to this. To be clear, this is
Arbor Day.
This is not my ingenuity.
Well, because also I think most Americans don't use all of their PTO. So if you are like, here's a mandated, here's a mandated holiday where we're closed.
Yes, right. Which and also like, and to the point of weekends being an understood time that like you're not working, like in the same way that like when you take a day off in the middle, like a non-standard day off, you are much more likely to be like answering emails, like
totally,
I'm taking my day off, but like, let me just real quick.
Exactly.
But I'm on Slack if you need me.
Yes.
Okay, but here's my idea.
Yes.
Okay. I think we need a new calendar.
Okay.
Oh,
John Green, get on this.
Just start all over again.
I think we need 8 days in a week, and we have 5 work days, 5 8-hour work days, and then 3 weekend days.
Whoa,
interesting.
I could like 5. I'm totally good with 5 days a week, but I just need that extra day to do laundry and grocery shop.
The only way to do that is to literally be the only person in power in America.
So
That's the only thing I'll do, and then I'll get out. I swear.
to their examples of like why like coordinated time off matters, they brought up an example, a like Soviet Russia example of how they had like a brief experiment where they did restructure the calendar into I forget if it was. So they were 5-day weeks where you worked 4 on, 2 off, or maybe it was 6 and 5 on, 2 off. I
That's
forget.
a lot of companies, like
whatever,
people
math.
who like
Counting.
Yeah, a lot of companies.
But they
very huge.
rebuilt
Yeah.
the calendar, and the idea, but like they sort of floated, everybody's days off, and so that like the factories would be open every day of the week, but like time off was separate. And
Gotcha.
this lasted for 2 years, in large part because people fucking hated it.
Yeah.
Because like you and your spouse could potentially never have the same day off, like for months, and like
Yeah.
And I think the only reason it was
horrible.
sustainable for me was because I didn't have another partner. Like I was able to coordinate times.
most of your friends
Well, and
were
also
Yeah,
like
in
if
the
you
same
had
boat.
kids,
It
then
would
it's
be
like it doesn't
impossible.
like it's not like
Yeah.
that school's gonna give them Monday, Tuesday.
right.
Or
And
if
you-
they do, what a nightmare, because then you have to like find daycare, and then the people who work at that daycare have to be open. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yes. It's a bad idea.
My plan was to just give everybody Friday go home at noon, Monday go home at noon. And then you get like a day off.
Well, come in at
noon on Monday.
Or come in. Sorry.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, but
Hank's like, no, go home now.
I would like to sleep more. I don't necessarily need the afternoon off so much. It's the morning.
Just so we're clear.
I need 2 hangover mornings.
I need more hangover. Monday coming in at noon makes a lot of sense because then you can have fun on Saturday night, which you can't do
Sunday night. Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
But I think that leaving on like Friday at noon makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then or
Yeah.
at like 2 or something.
Yeah.
Well, and also people are really motivated
Which I
to
will
leave on Friday.
Yeah,
so.
I will say
productive.
at 4:30 on Friday that parking lot's pretty empty, you
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
So it's
I
already
walk
kinda
to work.
happening.
I'm still
Yeah,
here.
I don't drive, okay? I
It's
ride my
not,
bike.
not either of you two.
Listen.
I'm looking at you two.
I don't always drive, but no, we're motivated. I think it's VidCon because they what?
Yeah.
I do think it's
Yep.
VidCon, and here's
Stephanie's
why.
like, absolutely yes.
We get out here at 5 on Friday, and that's early for us. But like VidCon is like they're usually getting here at like 8 or 8:30. A lot of them because they have to like call.
Right. Weird time zone.
Australia.
Sure, that's actually
Amsterdam or
that's true.
something.
Our work day, especially when we get closer to events, changes
Is
a little
wonky.
bit.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
either you have to be in earlier to talk to Europe or later to talk to Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't do the later in Australia on Fridays because that would be awful.
Oh yeah, Australia's got a great work schedule. They're like, hey, it's the work day ended. Stop talking to me.
Well, and not only that, Friday in Missoula is Saturday in Australia, so we're not talking to anybody.
Yeah,
in the
that's
Right.
true.
So
Yeah.
like like early August or late August, it was like, there's no one to talk to right now. It's 3 p.m. on a Friday, and it's like the middle of the day on Saturday, and like no one's talking to us. Like, we're not getting.
I have
anything
nothing to
done
do
here.
now.
Yeah.
On Monday, however, it's like, oh God, they've been working for a full day without us.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I sat next to a Australian or an American businessman who worked in the potato industry in Australia, and boy, did I learn a lot about potatoes on that
man.
flight. And
I'm sure.
Was
but
that the birth of the potato with you signing the potato, or was this
That
after
was a separate
that?
thing.
Okay, unrelated.
Yeah.
Birth of the potato.
Independently potatoes.
so giving birth to potatoes and
Yeah,
dynamite.
yeah, it's fine.
So yeah, and he was just going off on me about how Australians wouldn't like. He said even the management left at 5.
Good for them.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Great, good
Eat
job.
a
Yeah.
dick, dude.
Yeah.
Jesus. What are you
He's like, hello,
what are
American
you-
businessman. Let me take all of this stress out on you.
Yeah, you'll understand.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was just he was,
No.
nobody will put in any extra time, and I'm like, are you fucking paying? them for it?
Is that? Do they get time and a half for staying past 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because they're salaried, and you know
Oh, he
exactly
was
what's
mad
going on.
about it. I get
Oh,
it.
he
I
was
thought
so
he
mad.
was telling you, American, that
No.
you should do this too.
No,
No,
it was an
Yeah.
American
angry.
business. Yeah, he was
Angry,
mad.
man.
All right.
Weird.
Great.
So glad that we ended up with stories about Australian potatoes. That was my fault. I take full responsibility. Great
It's good.
episode.
I like that buck stops here approach.
Cut the shit with the potato talk.
I'm a great manager. I'll take the blame when it's time to take the blame, you guys. And even sometimes when it's not 100% my fault, I'll still shoulder that burden.
Thanks, Hank.
Oh man, I like Hank's manager voice.
That's a good one.
It's like a different facial expression and everything. It's like kind of like eyes have.
Did you learn that from
curves, but,
Catherine?
Like
Just kidding.
taller posture.
Yeah.
I'll take that burden.
I'll handle that burden. All right, guys. Thank you very much for being on this podcast. This has been Holy Fucking Science. Our sponsor, as usual, is Big Sky Brewing Company. They make a lot of great beers. They're available all over not all over the United
We
States.
think it's like 24 states.
In 24 states, almost half the states, you guys, mostly out this direction in the West. This podcast was overseen by Stefan Chen, who's been hanging out back there, making sure all the sounds good. And I've been joined by
Sylvia,
Nicole,
Caitlin.
and I am Hank, and this has been
Holy Fucking Science.
You guys are so good at that.